Alright, this must be serious if you're seeing my face. So, before we get into the video, I just wanted to do this real quick and just say that when I got the Apple TV, I was really expecting to like it. I always hear good things about it and how easy and consistent that it is, reliable, all these things. And I really thought that it would be a good, main media streamer for my setup and for my family to use when I'm not here. And, well, as you'll see in the video, that didn't exactly pan out very well. So, all the good things that you hear, makes you kind of wonder if most of those come from people who just always use the Apple TV and they're just used to it, and the problems that I have aren't really problems to them, and that's fine. Like, if you're an Apple person and that's what you like, that's what you use, that's fine. But the point of this video is to go through all these different types of media streaming platforms and devices and see, which ones really should you get. And when you're paying the premium for what is essentially the highest end media platform, well, it's not the highest end, but I think you get what I'm saying. At $200, it needs to do everything or most things really well. Or if some of the fundamentals just don't work as you would expect them to me, that's just like an automatic, I can't recommend it. If the $40 sticks are able to do some of the things that a $200 Apple TV can't do, there's a problem there. And again, I started this very excited, and I think you might be able to tell watching the video how it goes, from me being pretty excited to pretty disappointed rather quickly. So anyway, I'll let the video play now. Just wanted to let you know, I'm not trying to crap on the product or be negative. It's just, it didn't live up to what I wanted. How's it going, everyone? Classy here. And I have a table full of stuff. And all this stuff is media streaming devices in one fashion or another. And I'm going to go through each kind and hopefully by the end of it be able to give you guys good recommendations on what device fits what use case scenarios and which one is best for you. I do want to point out real quick that when it comes to image quality, there really shouldn't be any difference between any of them as long as the formats are supported. Or so let's say Netflix, I don't know off the top of my head what its bitrate is, but let's just say 30 megabits per second, and you're watching something in 4K Dolby Vision on your built-in TV app, and there's no problems with the internet and everything's operating as it should. That should look the same as 30 megabit per second Netflix 4K Dolby Vision on a Shield or on a Apple TV or whatever. The main differences between them is going to come down to the software that they use, the operating system, the remotes, the supported apps, the UI, things like that, and supported formats and features. So anyway, I'm going to start with the Nvidia Shield. This is the Shield Pro from 2019, and I got this about 6 months ago, and I had gotten it specifically for Plex because I have a large external drive right here with a whole bunch of movies and TV shows on it, and you just hook that up to this and you get the Plex app, and this will be a Plex server, so you can access all your movies and shows and stuff anywhere on any device. So that's really cool. Also, it has the AI or artificial intelligence sharpening feature for lower res content through supported apps. That looks really good. I just keep it on low though. I don't want to go higher and get artifacts. So this is one of the high-end streaming devices. On the low end, I don't actually have the Roku device sitting here because my son's using it to watch Blue's Clues. But this is the Roku remote from the TCL TV in the bedroom. And I gotta say, I'm not a fan. I'm sure you can hear that. It sounds awful. The buttons are so sticky. This TV's never used. It's maybe got 100 hours in a year or so that I've had it. I don't know. Don't like the remote, and not a big fan of Roku's layout, and they are having issue holding on to a lot of their big apps. So Not a fan of Roku, but still check it out. And the Amazon TV Firestick 4K. This is a little better than the Roku, I think, but again, comes down to the ecosystem and what apps are supported on the device. And then I have the Chromecast Ultra. This was part of the Stadia kit. Here's the controller for the Stadia. This comes with a power adapter that has an Ethernet, so you don't have to run Wi-Fi with it. However, there's no remote. It only uses your phone. Not a fan of that. I have this keyboard here because the highest end and best overall option is to have a computer or HTPC known as home theater PC. So that's something that will be explored as well. Then I have the remote for my 4K Blu-ray player, which also has apps. Not as many. That's the downside. If you want the 4K Blu-ray player, you get the ability to play the highest quality discs, which is great, but the app store is quite small. And then the TV remote, built-in apps. This is the remote for the Sony A80J, which uses Google TV. So I will go through that as well. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is log into all the apps that I have in use and go through them, and then do a 2 to 5 minute video on each one, and then at the end, have a conclusion of some sort. So here is the Xbox Elite 2 controller because I have an Xbox Series X. You can see it back there. That's another option. And now, I'm sure you probably have seen the title of this video by now. The new Apple TV 4K, Gen 2, Apple TV 6, whatever you want to call it. Never had an Apple TV before, not really an Apple user. I have always been Android, but I want to give this a shot, and it may replace the Shield for me because I am moving my Plex back to my computer. So if this is easier to use for the rest of the family, and also casting to it from my fiance's iPhone, trying that on the Shield was not happy. So anyway, gonna just see if this is easier, more user-friendly, and supports everything that I need, and it may replace the Shield. And also something that is important to me at this point, you can see I have a lot of remotes. I mean, I just got remotes on top of remotes on top of remotes. So anything I can do to whittle that down is going to be a determining factor for me as well, which I really liked. The Nvidia Shield could be controlled with the TV remote, and I really like this remote, and I'm probably going to replace it with the A90J metal backlit remote. So I mean, I've only had this a couple weeks, and I can already see some lines just from being in the remote drawer and getting other remotes thrown on top, so that metal one does sound like a good option. But if I could just use that for most things, that's something to keep in mind. So hopefully it will control the Apple TV. We'll find out. It does control the Sony 4K Blu-ray player, which should be no surprise. Alright, I think that's enough rambling. I'm already 7 minutes into the intro. So let me get started on testing all of these. And I'll do a quick unboxing of the Apple TV. Alright, so Apple TV 4K 2021 Gen 2, Apple TV 6, and a lot of different names. So from what I have seen, it should be mostly the same as the previous one, although now it has YouTube at 60 FPS, a new remote, and some other Apple ecosystem features that, sorry, but I will not be testing out because, I don't really have Apple stuff. I do have an iPad laying around somewhere, but I haven't touched the thing in, at all. I had gotten it specifically for using Destiny Item Manager for Destiny 2, but anyway. let's see. I am one who does not like to rip the packing material, as silly as that may be. But I may have to do that for the remote. Yep, you gotta do that. So, first impressions, this box is way heavier than I was expecting. I mean, it's not heavy, but it's got some heft to it. The remote, it has a nice balance and feel. I mean, I guess that's what you would expect from Apple. Not glass. I think I heard the last one was glass. I would have been afraid of that for a remote. Buttons are nice and clicky, if you like that. None of the buttons feel loose or bad or anything. And then there's a charging port at the bottom. I would rather have batteries myself, because if the internal battery goes bad, I don't want to replace the whole remote, but what are you going to do? So we have power cable. Extra stuff. Alright. Charging cable for the remote. Yeah, lightning cable. No surprise there. Little paper, and yep, nothing else in there. So let's get this out of here. I did get the 64 gigabyte model, just $199.99. Or for $20 less, you get the 32. I was gonna get the 32, but this is the one that could be delivered the fastest to me. The reason I was gonna get the 32 is I'm not gonna be playing any games or anything on it, and don't use a whole ton of apps. So this is the back of the box. Alright, and now peel this off. Oh boy, more piano gloss plastic. Not a fan of piano gloss plastic, because it may look really nice right now. Give it 5 minutes and it won't. That was one of my complaints with the Shield. Shield is a cool looking device, but that glossy plastic just does not age well. Now the Apple TV 4K 2021 has an HDMI 2.1 port, but do not worry about that. That's just because they put it on there. But that's really only needed for 4K HDR 120 FPS, so shouldn't be anything on here that uses that. Alright, that's the unboxing of this. Sorry about the camera angles. I wish I had a bigger tripod. That's probably something that's going to go on my list to get soon, so I could have done a top-down looking kind of angle. Alright, now I'm going to get this set up and come back with some thoughts on it. Alright, go through the setup of the new Apple TV 4K. I do not have an iPhone, so I'm going to have to do this manually. Alright, let me put this in and cut back. Alright, on the previous screen it was saying you can set it up for password to always need a password when buying something every 15 minutes or never ask for password. Also, when signing into the account, it said that it was sending a code to a device, which for me would be the iPad that's not charged. So if you're in that situation, you can click on didn't receive code, and then it gives you an option to have the code sent to your phone number. I'm going to speed up going through all the settings here on it. It did go into Dolby Vision by setting that through that initial setup. But I want to go into a few things real quick. Do a firmware update before messing with any of this, because I did run into some problems where I set the settings, did the firmware update, and then it changed stuff, and so I had to figure that out. 2, make sure dictation is on. If dictation's not on, when you go to, like if you're in an app and you go to search and then you use your voice to fill in the text, it won't do that if dictation is off. Also here is just showing that the Sony TV remote does work to control the Apple TV, and the Apple TV does work to control the volume and stuff on my receiver. Also make sure the match frame rate and match range and stuff in the video settings are turned on. Alright, latest update is installed. Because this is OLED, I do want to go into video and turn off the Dolby Vision for the UI. So do this. You want this left on YCBCR 444. Again, make sure your match content is on. Alright, and hitting the microphone button on the side pulls up search, but you cannot voice search without Siri. So I was hoping that you would just be able to hold the button and speak and it would type, but it does not do that. So I have to go back to settings and turn on Siri. Supernatural. Okay, this is on Netflix. Guessing I have to install Netflix. Netflix. Alright, well, I'm going to install apps, and if there's anything else to show, I'll cut back. Alright, now I got some apps installed. So if I open something, then on the remote, right here is the home button, and if you double tap, then it shows everything that's open. And if you go to something you want to close and swipe up, that's how you close it. And then center the wheel to select. Now I want to see if I try to voice search something in my Plex, if it will pull it up. Legend, Plex app. Nope. Legend. Nope. Alright, now I have Netflix open. Let's see if I search The Witcher Netflix. Okay, so it pulls up the show and then open in. It doesn't automatically open Netflix. And it doesn't go to the show either. The Witcher. Okay, let's swipe that away and start over. The Witcher. The Witcher, Netflix. No, it does not take you to the show. That's one thing on the Shield. If you voice search, it will take you right to it in the app. Alright, now I'm on the Amazon Prime app. Let's go back home. It's open in the background. The Grand Tour. Alright, so it finds it there. That one takes you to the show. So I wonder what's up with the Netflix one. Now if I close it, and if I search by The Grand Tour, Amazon Prime. Okay, sorry. The Grand Tour, Prime Video. Still does it this way. At least it's a step in the right direction over Netflix. Let's try the Netflix thing again, but let's try Supernatural, Netflix. See, it finds the show, but it doesn't go to Netflix. Did they take it off of Netflix? Supernatural. No, Supernatural's right here. Alright, so it looks as if the update messed with the settings. Let me go into here real quick. So first, all the video settings got reset. It had put me back into Dolby Vision, and the match content was turned off, which I had turned on earlier. I also found that we're under the series settings. Got your keyboard, and this dictation was off. And with dictation off, that's what makes it where you can't speak and have it type in a search in an app. So, let me close out. So we're just at normal main screen here. The Witcher. So now it should find it. Okay. The Witcher, Netflix. There. So it finds it as long as you say the name of the app, if it's a supported app. Still will not take you to the show, it just takes you to the app. You still have to log in. Then you go to search. Now you say it again. The Witcher. And that's how you get to it. And also with the settings at 4K SDR, this is a Dolby Vision show. So it. Alright, battery died. Anyway, So now that we are ready to play The Witcher, the menu settings are set to 4K SDR. You can see no HDR, no Dolby Vision. And if I click play on a Dolby Vision show, it will switch to Dolby Vision, but it does need to take a few seconds here for it to switch over. So I get this screen for a few seconds, and then usually it'll come in and then have a scrolling loading circle. Alright, this time it didn't do it. And then the receiver is trying to figure out what to do. And now we're ready. And you can see Dolby Vision, 4K. Alright. And then I also put the speed test app on here just to see what speeds it'll get. My connection is 500 megabits per second. And apparently I'm having some issues with my internet because it was working about 3 minutes ago. Let me troubleshoot. I'll come back. Alright, so my computer that's connected to the same switch just ran at 267, which is still about half of what it should be, but it's better than what we just got. So let's try this again. And something is still wrong. I would say don't get Spectrum, but sometimes you can't really pick, and if it's all you got, it's all you got. So at 100, I swear I did this like 5 minutes ago, and it was 430 or something. Let me reset everything again. I'll be back. So my Yamaha receiver was not detecting what the device was, so I'm naming the input. It kept saying CD, which is odd because my other devices, like my Nintendo Switch, my Shield, and my 4K Blu-ray player, it detects what those are. So it's kind of odd that it wouldn't detect the Apple TV. And the Amazon stick it detects. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out too. Alright, so I'm checking on my Shield now. My PC ran at 265. Again, it's still about half of what it should be, but you know, whatever. There's other stuff in the house being used. The Shield did not have the Ookla app, so I downloaded this one. Pretty much it's working as it should be here. So now I'm going to switch back to the Apple TV, and hopefully it will be fine now. And the Apple TV is connected Ethernet into the same network switch as my PC and the Shield. So inconsistent is all I can say at this point. I'm going to unplug it and try it again. Alright, unplugged it, plugged it back in. And there we go. So again, with nothing else in the house, it was getting 400-ish. So that's fine. The problem is, why did it need a complete power reset to be at the speed that it should be at? But just chalk that up to another fluke. Alright. Now, let's try Supernatural on Netflix. Couldn't find that on Netflix, really, because it is on Netflix. You're showing it to me in your store where you want to sell it. Supernatural. So I am not liking the voice search or the search at all. Just to make sure I'm not losing my mind here. Let's go over to the Switch. Or I'm sorry, the Switch, Jesus. It's late, I'm tired. Go over to the Shield. Close out of everything. Now you can come up here, click to speak, or hit the button, and Supernatural on Netflix.
Okay, opening Netflix.
Goes right into the profile, goes right to the show, and starts playing it.
Oh, you remember? What are you doing here? Same reason as you. Same reason we help each other out.
That's how it should work. I don't know why the Apple TV gets so much praise for ease of use if something like that doesn't work. And I don't know. Again, I'm not an Apple person. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm sure a lot of Apple people will probably be upset that I'm pointing this out and that I'm going to keep my Shield if there's no way to get the Apple TV to do that. But I don't know what else to say at this point. The Witcher on Netflix.
Alright, opening Netflix.
Again, and I closed out of the app. No delay for it to start playing and switch over to Dolby Vision. Let's make sure. Yep, it's in Dolby Vision. I don't know how that's not a better experience from a 2-year-old device that costs the same or less. Legend, Tom Hardy.
Here is some information about Legend.
I did not know it was on Netflix. And the ATV could not find it at all. Let's try Keep It Classy Tech on YouTube.
Sure, here are some videos.
So let me close out of it. Close out everything. Let's see. Keep It Classy Tech on YouTube. Okay. Maybe that's just the voice recognition. Let's try again. Keep It Classy Tech on YouTube. Okay, so it does do that as well. So that's fine. Make sure that it plays okay.
You had a question about a taking a purple art business. Film game.
What?
Jack here would like to explain himself.
What?
Okay, back up, back up. Alright, oh my god, what? It's not, it's saying the 10-second back, but it's not backing up.
You had a question about a taking a purple art business.
You have to hold it and then get it to do a full rewind to get it rewind. But if I press this, it's lighting up 10 seconds back, but it's not going 10 seconds back. Oh, Jesus. No, no, don't like that. Don't stop. 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 So don't do that. Play. Double tap. No. Circular motion. No. No. Up, 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 up. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. Alright. This is not turning out how I expected. Alright, so if I go to Plex. Because this is one of the motion tests, or one of the spots I use for motion tests, and watch, just back, 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 no problem, no problem, 10 seconds each click. And also to point out, the Shield is playing DTS HD audio, uncompressed, with Plex app. Alright, I'm pretty much done with the Apple TV at this point. It was dropping the internet speeds again. So let me just show on the Shield. Okay, 290. And was back to 124 in here. And one test was even lower at like 78. Oops. So run it again. And now it's where it should be. It's just so inconsistent. And again, it is wired Ethernet straight into a network switch, not a router. It's the only device that's showing this inconsistency. Alright, now on to the Firestick. This is the Firestick 4K, just using Wi-Fi. There is an Ethernet adapter that you can buy for $15 for it that I do not have, and it's only a 10100 Ethernet adapter, so only get it if you have bad Wi-Fi. It is nice to see that this stick also has match frame rate and a little bit more advanced video settings. And a little spoiler, I end up liking this Firestick more than any of the other options that's not the Shield. For $40, it actually does pretty much everything that most people will need. So if you are going to want something different than your built-in TV apps, but you don't want to spend the premium on something like the Shield, the Firestick 4K or one of the other Fire devices would get my recommendation. Voice search works well, takes you to the show. It doesn't start playing it like the Shield does, but it at least logs you in and gets you there. On Netflix. All the major apps that I can think of are supported, but you should check to make sure that any apps that you want are on the Firestick platform. I think the only real downside to it is that Ethernet adapter is limited to 10100 and does not have gigabit. There's not a whole lot of apps right now that matters for, and especially if you have a good strong Wi-Fi, but in the future that could change. Now, why should you get this over using your built-in TV apps? Well, it depends on the TV, but like the Sonys currently have issues with Netflix kicking people out. Some people don't like the layout of certain ones, like LG's new WebOS 6. Some TVs don't play well with certain apps or don't have them at all. And also, some TVs require you to do your picture settings for each different app. So if you have a Firestick or one device, you could do your settings one time and be done. It could also be nice to have the same platform on multiple TVs in your household. That way, every TV you go to feels the same. Supernatural on Netflix. Not as fast as the Shield, but faster than the Apple TV, and it actually takes you to the show. The Witcher. And here you are able to voice search within the app as well, and the search pad, if you did want to type, is not just all the letters horizontal, which would take much longer to get to the letters that you need. And also, just to check, the Sony TV remote does work for this as well. And now just a quick look through the main screen of the Firestick and different apps and so on. Keep It Classy Tech on YouTube. It is a little odd it doesn't go to the channel, but instead starts playing the most recent upload from the channel. Alright, now to jump back to the Shield for a second, just to show that there is an update and how the Shield presents that update to you, tells you what's new. And in this update, it is adding support for certain Corsair peripherals and SCUF controllers. And I just think it's cool that the Shield presents its updates like this and tells you what they do right from the device. Alright, now to check out the built-in apps on the Sony A80J using Google TV. I actually kind of like this layout. At first, it was a little off-putting just because it was different, but once you get used to it, I think it's kind of nice. Here, running the speed test, again, because it's Google, it doesn't have the Ookla, or at least I couldn't find the Ookla app, so using the same one that I used on the Shield. And here's the first problem that I have with built-in TV apps. One, the network adapter on the TV and on most TVs is a 10100. It is not a gigabit. And even though my phone right next to the TV, I could get over 300 from the Wi-Fi, the TV's only getting 90. I don't know if it's because of being wall-mounted or whatever, but that's just the way some houses are with your Wi-Fi. You can have, my Wi-Fi goes all the way down my driveway, out into the road, halfway down the road. But the router is 2 rooms behind where the TV is, and that's all I can get out of the TV on Wi-Fi. So at this point, I would just use the 10100 Ethernet just to make sure it's a stable connection, since the speeds are about the same. What that does to the Bravia Core app, I don't know. So here, I just wanted to show there's a 3D Mark app that you can download. I thought that was cool, and I wanted to see what the TV could do. But that's all it did, black screen. Literally couldn't turn the TV off and back on, nothing. It just black screen, complete crash. Had to pull the power cord out and plug it back in to get it to work again. So don't try that. Supernatural on Netflix. So at this point, I'm whispering because at the recording of this, other people in the house were sleeping. But you can see the TV app goes straight to the show. The Witcher on Netflix. Keep It Classy Tech on YouTube. Alright, now onto the Bravia Core app for a moment, because as far as I know right now it is only available on the Sony TVs with the XR processor. Now, one thing that's kind of odd is after doing a factory reset on the TV for other reasons, and then setting it back up, when I logged back into the Bravia Core app, it gave me my 5 free movies again. So, that seems like a bug. Sure, it'll get fixed soon. Well, it's Sony, so maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, the Bravia Core app, its main reason for being is that it can do movies up to 80 megabits per second video quality. The audio still is lossy, not lossless, and it is not great audio. And the high quality movies, there's only some of them, not all of them. I mean, that's to be expected. So just make sure to check for each movie to see what the quality will be like. But I did watch Monster Hunter on the app, and it looked really, really good. It just did not sound that great. Alright, so now I'm going to go through some of the movies that are on this app, but while that's playing, I'm noticing this video is getting very long, and coming up next is some of the footage from the Chromecast, but I think I'm just going to cut most or all of that out because the Chromecast, really, I cannot recommend it at all. I do not like it. Using your phone with the Google Home app to cast and control it is just cumbersome, very difficult to set up. I don't see how your average Joe is going to be able to figure that out. I had a lot of issues with it, and even though it has an Ethernet connection on the power cord, which I used, it was the only one that had a noticeable drop in image quality. Everything else, each show that I watched, watching the same show on each device, all looked the same. But the Chromecast just seemed like it did not want to get the HD stream from Netflix or whatever. So I can't recommend the Chromecast, and I won't. Alright, now I want to check out YouTube performance. And on the Sony TV using Google TV operating system here, YouTube works pretty flawlessly. 4K 60 HDR works without issue. It immediately detects HDR. It looks very good. And you might think that that should be something pretty easy for all devices to do, but we will soon find out that's not the case. And that actually is the one Achilles heel to the Nvidia Shield, is it does not do HDR on YouTube, and it doesn't seem that it ever will because it seems to be a missing codec on the device. At least until the next one comes out. Here we are back on the Shield just to show that very quickly. Here in SDR YouTube, you can see there is quite a difference in the image quality here, and it is, again, the one issue that most people have with the Nvidia Shield, but my workaround is use the Shield for 99% of everything, and then either use the built-in TV apps, or maybe I'll just keep the Firestick connected just for YouTube for HDR. And now here is the Firestick 4K showing that it does do HDR with YouTube. Now coming back to the new Apple TV 4K, and if you remember, we had the settings set so that the Apple TV was at 4K in SDR, but the match range is enabled, so it should detect the correct HDR or Dolby Vision format, and it doesn't, at least not on YouTube. So you can see it's not playing in HDR at all. So now I'm going to go into the settings and make sure everything is correct. The range and frame rate matching is on. Now if I set the device to Dolby Vision, which YouTube is not, it is HDR10. But again, it should detect and switch on its own. So I close out of everything to make sure it didn't get stuck or there weren't any issues from that. Go back to the same video again. Now it's forcing it into Dolby Vision, which is not what we want. So the only way to get HDR10 on YouTube is to set the Apple TV to HDR10. So the range match setting appears to only work for certain apps. And as you saw, each other device did not have this problem. The Amazon Fire Stick 4K, the built-in apps on the TV. The Shield, again, doesn't support HDR on YouTube, which does kind of suck. But yeah, there is no excuse for a brand new, just released $200 streaming media device to be having this kind of a problem. And again, please keep in mind that I really expected to like this and keep it and have it replace my Shield. So this is just very surprising and disappointing to me. So I would like to save you the disappointment and just recommend that if you want something similar but to save a lot of money, get one of the Fire Sticks or the Fire Cube. I was honestly very surprised by everything that thing could do for the price. I used to be a Roku person and had Roku, like I have a TCL Roku TV in my bedroom and all that. So I just never actually tried out the Fire Stick until this video. And now like I said earlier on, Roku's losing apps and the remotes are falling apart and whatever. So at your lower end, and it's not even really fair to call it lower end because it's doing better than the $200 Apple TV in my opinion, get the Fire Stick. But if you do want a Plex server, the ability to connect a large storage drive, streaming games from an Nvidia computer or GeForce Now, all that kind of stuff, then get the Shield. And also do remember that there is a tube-shaped Nvidia Shield for $150 that does not let you connect the hard drive, at least not a USB one. So if you aren't doing the Plex server, you can save a little bit of money and go with that. So, and then here, just doing one last speed test, showing that it is capable of doing the full speed that I should be getting. It's just so inconsistent and unreliable. And just real quick here to show that I did try out the Chromecast, and it took forever for me to figure out that you had to not only make the room in your house on the Google Home app, but then figure out how to get the Chromecast put into that room. And it was just very annoying. I just don't recommend it, and it's still just, it's so hard just to get it to work. I don't see how it ever got out of like a beta phase. So just ignore the Chromecast. Don't worry about Roku. Just stick with the Amazon stuff. And then also when it comes to the consoles, I did use the Xbox Series X, but even with a headset on, you can search the Xbox store by voice, but it won't go to apps and put you into shows. Now you have a controller in your hand, which is a little easier to type with than, you know, a scroll left and right on a remote. But still, the consoles usually have issues here and there with some apps, and then they also don't have as many apps as some of the dedicated streaming devices, so I would put the consoles at the bottom of the list as well. And this is just the kind of screensaver you get on the Chromecast when you're not casting to it. Alright, now apologies if I sound half dead at this point. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been working on this for a very long time. It's a very long video. Did not go any way like I planned. I never would have thought at the end of this video my recommendation would be the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K for the overwhelming majority of you, but that's just how it worked out. And then for any like power users or anyone who wants a little bit more out of their streaming device, definitely go for the Shield. So thanks for watching this very long video. Have a good one.